someone posted a link in our Discord server. It was an article about how a Neanderthal gene is being linked to autism. Now this is a controversial topic that always gets the backs up of the woke crowd. But I think someone needs to say this. If you are easily offended or enjoy being labelled as broken or wrong in some way, this video isn't for you. Autism was supposed to be a more politically correct way of saying the R word, or any one of the words used to describe those who are mentally challenged, because eventually they all start to be used as an insult. However, it has now become a catch-all phrase used to describe anyone who has a personality or traits considered not normal. So what is normal? Who decided what normal should be? Normal is considered someone extroverted, someone who is always cheerful and has a lot of friends, because they just seem to have a gift for getting along with people. They always seem to say the right thing and are sure to keep abreast of the latest politically correct terminology. They back all the most popular causes, work a typical boring 9-to-5 job, are married with 1.2 children, or identify as one of the strange new genders and talk endlessly about what their pronouns are, like anybody cares, and they seem to be oblivious to what is really going on in the world. They just follow the crowd and trust the government and doctors. The normal was decided upon by think tanks. Normal is compliant and uninteresting. Normal is good citizens who will just do as they are told, keep paying taxes and perpetuate the problems with the system, because they are content with the distractions they have been given. And although they might appear as friendly and cheerful, just watch them change when they see someone who is not towing the line like they do. Their wrath will come blaring out. How dare someone have a mind of their own? This rage and anger they direct at the person who is different is actually their deep-seated fear coming to the surface, because they know there is something fundamentally wrong with society, but they are too scared to rock the boat and do anything about it themselves. So they demonize anyone who could cause them to have to face the facts. Because despite their cheerful mask, they live in a constant state of fear. They fear not being normal, of being rejected. And so they decide to give labels to these people who dare to be different. Labels like rebel, delinquent, outcast, loner, weirdo, loser, social reject, ADHD, autistic. And so it began. People who have a mind of their own have started to be labelled mentally ill. Can you not see this? Maybe you who is watching this now have taken on this label and have been told how freeing it will be to have an excuse for being different, so that when you're interacting with these normal people and they start to think you are strange and eccentric, you can just say, "Oh, I'm autistic." Then the normal person can feel better about the fact that you have something wrong with you, and that is why you can think for yourself. That is why you refuse to toe the line. So they can breathe a sigh of relief and continue being normal. What kind of world do we live in, where the people who can think for themselves are labelled mentally ill, and the ones who can't think are considered normal? A messed up one for sure. If you are strong in Serpent Bloodline genes, you are much more likely to be given this label, and that is for many reasons, which I will explain now. Serpent Bloodline people have a tendency to be introverted, and there is a good reason for this. All our senses are much more acute than they are in modern humans. Our blue eyes struggle in bright light. Our hearing is so sensitive that cities and crowds can easily overwhelm us. And our sense of smell is so keen that we can literally smell the fear, lust, or other emotions on people, making a room full of people extremely overwhelming to our senses. Top this with our extremely sensitive skin that detects even the slightest touch. Being constantly nudged and brushed past in a crowd is just too much for us. This does not mean there is something wrong with us. It just means that noisy, crowded places are hell to us. We prefer silence and the sounds of nature to hustle and bustle, traffic, lawnmowers, and other sounds. Those things hurt us and cause headaches and earache, and we can do without it. There is also another reason. Our brains just don't work the same way modern human brains do. We are told that in humans, each side of the brain is responsible for different things, and when the link between each side of the brain has been split in some patients, this creates two different personalities. One talks while the other reasons, etc. However, in Serpent Bloodline brains, both sides are working the same way together. This is why someone strong in serpent genes is more likely to have dyslexia and be ambidextrous. We often confuse our left and our right because to us they are more similar. Words or letters are sometimes written backwards, and sometimes lines of writing can be hard to follow. When a neophyte does magic training, they are taught techniques to try to equalize their brain in this way by writing with their left hand and writing backwards. This strengthens the link between each side of the brain, making it easier to do the great work, which does not come so naturally to those who are not strong in serpent genes. When the brain of a modern human is split in two, something strange occurs. They can see things at one side of a focal point and say what it is. But if the object is to the left of the focal point, they cannot say what it is. If asked, they will say they didn't see it. However, if you give them a pen and tell them to draw something with their left hand, they will draw the image that they said they couldn't see. This is because they are unaware of what is happening in their subconscious mind. The great work teaches how to connect to it fully, so that you can become aware of those things consciously. This is something those of the Serpent Bloodline genes already do, even though we live in a society that purposely tries to put us back to sleep. If the brain of a Serpent Bloodline person was cut in two, it would make no difference. They would still be able to see and name items from both sides of a focal point. This is a very difficult subject to put into words, but I suggest you do some of your own research into the split brain phenomenon. The splitting of the brain is used as a treatment for epilepsy. And so, just because someone appears to be socially awkward, introverted, hypersensitive to sights and sounds, has unusual savant-type abilities, or just a bit eccentric, it does not mean they are mentally ill, mentally disabled, or have a personality disorder. Don't take on these labels simply because you are different. There is nothing wrong with you, but you can bet there is something wrong with the ones who are pushing you to have these labels. Hi everyone! If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe and leave a comment. And if you really like my videos, please consider becoming a member, then I can continue to create more intriguing and interesting content. Thanks for your support. Lots of love. Bye for now.